Now I know it's been a hot minute since I made a video like this. I've been so busy lately. I've been just kind of busy with personal events, and then there was a fire a couple days ago, so I was like at high risk at evacuation. So I had to pack up all my stuff, get it ready because I do have to evacuate. So like, I wanted to make this video a couple days ago, but I couldn't because of that reason. And then I like didn't have to evacuate, so I guess that's that. I mean, I could have done it, but just the stress of having to leave because there was a fire literally not even a mile away from me. So that's that. But now I'm back on my regular schedule. I feel like the next few weeks I'm be able to push out more videos. I have some stuff coming up, some projects I do want to film, so I'm kind of excited for that. But with that being said, we're back to our regular schedule. I do want to call out, I am going to be doing my videos a little bit different now. I know I don't have the capabilities of getting every camera because, well, cameras are expensive. So instead of like, waiting for lens rental to have it available to book or rent, apologies, because those cameras get booked out so far in advance. I was looking at one camera right now and it's not available until September. So I'm just like, ugh. So instead of waiting for them, I'm just going to start reviewing them based off what is provided on the internet because the internet is such a great resourceful tool. With that being said, we can jump right into this video. Now, I've never really owned a Fujifilm camera until I got the X106, and I think owning that camera has really got me starting to like research and dive into the Fujifilm like series and learn about the cameras and see which ones are meant for pros, which ones are meant just for having fun, and which are in between. And I will say I've kind of starting to like develop and I don't know, a love, admiration for Fujifilm because I think how they manufacture cameras is really fun because they really do things differently, and I feel like they really put themselves like off to the side and be like, yeah, we're gonna do our own thing, which I admire about them. I think it's really cool. I know there are groups of people who hate Fujifilm, and honestly, if you're one of those people and you're not a huge fan, you're not gonna like this video. So there's the door. For those who do love Fujifilm because they've been shooting on those cameras for a very long time, welcome aboard. We're gonna talk about something really cool. But in the conversation of Fujifilm making such cool cameras, I mean, we've been seeing them doing some really cool stuff. They did the GFX 100 RF, which is pretty much an X106 with a medium format sensor, which if you ever shot on medium format sensors, they're fun. The way they capture images is just, it's purely amazing. I mean, that's why people like Hasselblad and then Fujifilm has their GFX 100 like interchangeable lens cameras. The reason why they do so well and they cost so much is because that sensor just captures such beautiful images. I mean, there are more reasons why it costs as much, but that's my mindset. And then they did the Fujifilm XM5, which weirdly is on discontinue on B&H. I made me think it's like discontinued because it's like they can't make some, so they're trying to catch up. I don't know. But that was also a cool camera. It was smaller than the Fujifilm X106. It was interchangeable. So if you're looking for something that was like small enough to put in your pocket, that was it, which was really cool. And then they did the X-Half, which I know people hate it because it didn't capture such like sharp image, and it was also $849, and people were like, it's a digital disposable camera. So like, I get the price because $849 for that camera is kind of crazy, but also I feel like that camera is really just meant to have fun with. You're not supposed to capture such professional images with it. That was for you just to put in your bag, run around, take photos. I will say though, the one thing I kind of hate about that camera, and I wish they did it better, they did like their flash on there is an LED, I believe. I wish they did the traditional flash you would see on stuff like something on the X100, or sorry, I'm thinking of the Sony RX100 Mark 7. That was a really good flash that was on there because it really captures this like, I don't know, nightlife, I guess you would say. I wish the flash was much warmer instead of that cool blue. But anyways, enough about that. And then there's the X106. I mean, I've done a review about this camera. It's an amazing camera. I love it. It caused me to really just start to enjoy what Fujifilm does. But with that being said, they did come out with another camera last week that is the 5th edition into the series, which is the XE5. Now, I know people are already kind of up in arms at them. I know there's been a few loud creators who just are probably unhappy with their life and they were shitting on it already. But it's like, each of their own, my dude. You don't have to like it. You can just see and be like, all right, cool. But anyways, the XE5 came out. I personally think it's a really cool camera. I love what they've done with it so far. Now, some people say it is X106 just with interchangeable lens, which is, most of the part true. But I feel like if you're someone who likes the X106 and wants that like variety of lenses, this was technically the camera for you. It's actually a camera that I was like, maybe I do find myself wanting to buy it because I do like I said, the X106 is a really good camera, but if I want something, I guess with like a zoom, that would be my direction to go with. But with that being said, let's look at the specs itself. It is a 40 megapixel sensor. It's using the X Processor 5 sensor, which is the same one in the X106. The viewfinder is only EVF. Now I know there's people who are big fans of optical only, or they love the option of going from optical to digital. But there is a reason why they did EVF, and I'll get into that later. But I do find myself using the electric viewfinder most of the time these days. I think it's because I'm so used to it with my Sony cameras. So I don't really find a problem with that. But sometimes it's like kind of cool to have that optical viewfinder. But there's a reason for it. And then similar LCD screen as the X106. It tilts out, up, down, the whole 9 yards. Well, not really the whole 9 yards, but you get my point. And then video for video specs, it shoots at 6K for 30 frames per second, 4K at 60 frames, and then 1080p at 240. So not too shabby. I haven't seen anyone do any videos about the video specs. I think it's because for us, I think we realized this camera is really just a photo camera only. I mean, the X106 is like that. It's really meant for stills, but it has pretty decent video specs. But I know there's like some flaws, like rolling shutters, and then if you have a mic attached to it, when you're focusing on the lens, it is pretty loud. I mean, even like when I shoot with it, I can hear it go. So it's kind of a lot. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. It has everything the X106 film simulators. It has the capabilities of adding recipes. It has a very analog feel to it still, which I admire about Fujifilm doing. But when we talk about film simulation, and this is actually one of the things that made me really love it, is that it actually has a designated dial. So similar to like your dial for your shutter speed on your X106 like this, there is a dial that will allow you to adjust between film simulations. I believe, I'm gonna miscount it, and I'm gonna try to correct myself when I'm editing this video, but I think it's like 4 embedded film simulations. So I think it's like Chrome, Standard, Real Ace, and Negative. And then you get the option of 1 custom slot and then 3 film simulations slots, so you can add more of those from the film simulations that are already installed into the camera. And then within those film simulations, so let's say you switch it to a Chrome or one of the custom ones, you have the capabilities of going within the menu and adjusting everything to create like a film recipe. So you have that kind of room to do it, which I think is really cool, because then it then adds more to the analog feel. Because on my Fujifilm X106, I have one of the custom buttons right here to switch it from my film recipes. Now there's, like I said, a designated dial to do that, which I don't think it saves any like time, but it's just cool to have something that's just, hey, this is what it's used for. I think that kind of allows us to, I guess, I don't know, get that camera feel, that film camera feel, I guess. So, but it's really cool. I like it. I think they understand how much we love the film simulations, and they're like, hey, let's throw that on there. Now, I said I was going to talk about the EVF because there's people who hate electric viewfinders. I don't mind for it because it's no biggie to me. Because some people say like, oh, the resolution from the viewfinder to LCD screen is completely different, or the resolution on the electric viewfinder is like horrible, so like you never know if you're taking a good photo. I've never really had an issue, but I know what people are talking about when it comes down to that resolution. But the reason why they did electric viewfinder is because Fujifilm added this classic display mode where the bottom of the frame is this red text, like all the information. So of your shutter speed, your ISO, and then on the right-hand side, you see an exposure meter. So for people who have shot on film cameras, they're going to be used to that because a lot of film cameras have that little thing on there. And I think that's a cool playback to, where Fujifilm came from as being film developers and, making film cameras. So I think that's a really, really cool nod to it. I would find myself wanting to that on all the cameras if they did like a software update where that was an option on there. That's pretty cool. But I know people don't like that electric viewfinder because of the fact that like you get these black bars that kind of like cut out what like people coming in or whatever's happening around you. They did now adjust that setting so you can, instead of having black bars, you can put into transparency mode. So then you can actually see no matter what shot ratio, or what's what I'm looking for. Yeah, ratio. I can't even think of the word right now. Whatever you're shooting at, whether it's 3x4, 1x1, 16x9, you get these transparency modes that you can see what's happening around you, which I think is really cool. I think they realize, okay, hey, this is a setback, but let's do it this way. I don't know if you can, if you have it in the widest ratio, it will show more of it. The way they explained it sounded like you can then just remove the black bars and put transparency mode, but I don't. Like I said, I would need it to see. Again, conversation, very analog, very love it. And then yeah, it's the X106 in an interchangeable lens body. That's pretty much it. I think if, like I said, if you're somebody who wants a zoom lens and don't have to crop down on the sensor when you're adjusting the ring dial on the X106, this is the camera for you. I think it gives a little bit more of like a professional feel to it because now you get to switch lenses. I've never seen an issue with it, but I would find myself wanting to go from like, I don't know, a 23 to maybe a 50, and that way I still get that 40 megapixel and not have to lose resolution if I'm cropping down. And in the conversation of lenses, they actually launched a new lens to kind of, I guess you would say, complement the XE5, which was the 23mm f2.8, which is a 35mm equivalent if it was on a full frame. So if you can now have that option. If you were going to buy it, you can add that with it. It's like a bundle. What's cool is that it's not like a standard kit lens, because when you buy a camera, you get a kit lens. It's decent. It's okay. It's not really the best or very sharp. This one isn't that case. Some reviews I've read, people have been like, it's actually pretty sharp for it being like a bundle in a sense. So that's kind of cool. I like that. They were like, hey, if you're still somebody who likes the pancake lens feel, here's a pancake lens. But yeah, that's pretty much the camera in a nutshell. Like I said, I wish I was able to own one so then I can get an experience with it. I may rent it or buy it or see who has one already available to see what it can do in comparison to the X106, because that's what that camera is being compared to. And like I said, it seems like a really cool camera. But like I said, I don't know if I would ever I'm on this weird stance of like, should I buy it? Should I not buy it? And I don't know. I want to see what it is. But I think if I were to buy another Fujifilm, it would be the medium format, the GFX 100RF. But yeah, that's, like I said, that's the camera. That's what came out recently, and I think it's a pretty cool camera. If you have any questions or comments about it, definitely write down below. And then also like and subscribe. I know this is a weird video. I'm trying to find the flow of how to do videos like this when I don't have the camera with me. So definitely, if you have any feedback, put that right down below. I love a good old feedback. I like to see what y'all thinking sometimes. With that being said, I do have laundry to do, by the way. I left it in the dryer and I need to put that away before it's the next day. So anyways, like I said, I'm gonna be back on this routine of just posting videos and talking about things and other stuff and yada yada. So definitely stick around. Yeah, with that being said, like and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys later.